Good morning, everybody. This vlog is going to be just a compilation of outside projects, seed starting projects, that sort of thing that we are doing this week. I really wanted to present to you an organized series of videos of things that we're doing around the property this spring, such as today we are starting the green stalk and today we are starting seeds. And then I realized that my life is just not structured like that. I really wanted this series to be very organized, but since we are just jumping around depending on what our kids are kind of allowing us to accomplish that day, I think it would be more feasible for me to just do this vlog style and show you what we are doing every day. And hopefully I'll be able to put out a few of these videos as we get our property set up for spring. Okay, so obviously out here, this is our main garden, and my husband just finished the fencing around it the other day. We do have an opening here still. We need to get our gate in, but one thing at a time. And then we had more compost delivered. It is still nowhere near the amount of compost that I would like to start with. We have very clay-based soil, and I'm hoping to do an experiment today to figure out how clay-based our soil is, and I will show you what I'm doing for that. But anyway, this compost needs to be spread, and if you've purchased compost recently, you know that it is a pretty penny, and then the place we get it from charges $100 per delivery, so that adds on and makes it just really nearly cost prohibitive. But the layers down here, these are the rows that we did in the fall. We put cardboard down and we put compost over them, and on the edges here the cardboard did not really get broken down, but I dug underneath it the other day, and the cardboard is really, it's soft, it's mush under there. I think it just needs to be tilled or cultivated. I don't know the right words. But we do have a cultivator coming this week, and so I want to go through and just go through the beds one time and loosen everything up and make it a little more homogeneous, make sure the roots are going to be able to break through the cardboard. Okay, I actually have a moment right now, so I'm going to go out with this jar and we're going to go take a soil sample. Last night I had my husband come out with the post hole digger and dig me a sample out from about 9 inches down, because I want to see just how severe our soil is for being clay. You know, I don't think that's awful, because you can sort of pack it, but it does crumble also, so we'll see. We'll just let the experiment do the talking. So the way I saw to do this, you fill a jar about halfway. We're almost there. Let me get a decent mix. But I'm taking a sample from somewhere where we haven't amended the ground at all yet, because I just want to know worst case scenario what we've got. Our soil is extremely alkaline as well, so we're gonna have to do some temporary pH balancing until, well, I got a little too much. Maybe I should pour some of that out. We're gonna have to do some temporary pH balancing until we can get more carbon worked into our soil. I think the carbon is the long-term solution, but it's so alkaline. Well, now I poured too much up. It's so alkaline that I don't think anything would even grow unless we put in an acidifier this spring. Okay, let's go fill this with water. Were you coming to help me? Yeah? We gotta go fill this with water. You wanna come? All right, I've got my jar. I'm just gonna shake it up. And then you let it settle out, and it'll settle into the 3 layers, the clay, the silt, and the sand. And then you can sort of take a percentage, and you can look at this chart and figure out what kind of soil you have. Maybe my kids will get some homeschooling today in the form of soil science. I think it's just about homogeneous. I didn't want any chunks of clay left in there. I'm assuming this might take a while, so I'm just gonna let it sit here on the counter. I actually was barely even done saying that before this layer started settling. Look at that. Actually, I think I'm gonna shake it again because you can see that it started settling here, and that bottom layer is really, it did not settle evenly across the bottom, so I don't know how to measure that. I'm gonna shake it again and try again. While that settles out, I can show you guys what I've been working on for our seed starting rack. I originally purchased these Bootstrap Farmer trays to put our seedlings in, and then I saw this guy say that you don't need to buy grow mats, like heat mats, if you have these foil trays, and these can act as a greenhouse. So then you put the lid on your tray and it's sort of a greenhouse. And I thought that was genius because we've had to buy so many inputs for our homestead this year that it's one less thing that I would like to not purchase right now. So my thinking was that, oh, you have a tape measure. Thank you. So my thinking was that I would germinate in these, and then I would transfer them to the Bootstrap Farmer trays up there. I am also not in love with the way these sit in here. I'm hoping that once they're filled with material, they will be a little more stable. I guess that doesn't matter too much in the end, but I do want them to bottom water. So if they're all wonky, I don't know how successful I'll be at bottom watering, which is another reason why I need to get them out of here, I think, as soon as they germinate. But the next challenge has been the grow lights. And this rack is in our living room. This is not our long-term plan. We would like to do this in the garage eventually, but our garage is not climate controlled. And so we have this rack in our living room this year, and we turned these lights on and we realized this is not gonna work because we have 4 children, and immediately they all started staring at the lights. So I've been researching, and I saw that some people put sunshades around their rack, like for a car windshield. So we're gonna give that a go. We probably wouldn't keep it up there all the time, just when we are, you know, in this room trying to enjoy sitting in our living room and the lights are blinding us. Because we don't mind the extra light that it adds to the room. It's just that right there, like the point of focus, the lights are way too bright. So I have all the seeds, I have everything ready to start the seeds. I need those sunshades to come in so we can turn those lights on. All right, we've just come in for lunch, and it is starting to look like 3 distinct layers. Although this one is kind of, I don't know. I don't quite know if this is part of the sand or the silt or a mixture, but then the clay is settling up here. And apparently it could take hours to a full day, so we'll see. And then this is the chart. I will link it below because it's probably much easier to look at on your own computer than on my counter. But the left side of the triangle is your clay axis, bottom is sand, and the right is silt. So then you draw a line with your percentages, and wherever all 3 intersect, that is your soil type. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take these acorn squash. These were in our outdoor fridge, but then the fridge froze. I didn't think that through. And so we didn't eat them. They're kind of messed up. So we're gonna take them up to the front of the property. There is a massive squirrel population right in here. And I think those squirrels are going to be a bit of an issue for the garden. So my plan is to feed them. So the plan is to get a water source for them in here so they're not tempted to come into the garden and get big bites of tomatoes. And then we're gonna throw these squash in here. It'd be cool if they just turned into volunteer squash. Eventually we want to get this a little bit more cleared out, leave the big trees but take a lot of the small stuff down. And we want to run meat birds in here. And so we figure even if this is kind of a little food forest for squirrels, we can still run meat birds in here, no problem.
Wow.
So we're just busting them open, and then I'm just gonna toss it on in. Yeah, we have quite a bit of flat space up here. And, well, my husband has already started taking out some of the little trees. But we didn't realize how valuable this piece of our land was until the leaves fell and we could really see what was back here. This could definitely be valuable space. You know, we would keep these big guys for sure. But the rest is just little scrawny seedlings that need to come out. Saplings? Not seedlings, saplings. But yeah, it'd be cool even to get some tomato plants in here, just some stuff to appease the squirrels, and hopefully they will leave our garden alone. I've heard people caution about making a little food forest too close to your garden because it can attract them to your garden. Quite frankly though, the squirrels are already here. They know. I mean, there's no attracting them. They're everywhere. So we are also going to line this back fence here on the outside with elderberry bushes. And I'm hoping they just go bonkers because then the squirrels can eat elderberry as well. We will never need as much elderberries as these bushes would produce, you know. We only need a little bit, so yeah, we'll see. Okay, so I went ahead and called it. I will look tomorrow and see if any more clay settled out. I ended up taking 2 sets of measurements just to see if I could get kind of an average. So you can see how it barely varied. On one I had just a little bit more sand, and then on one I had just a little bit more clay. But in the end they're so close that it doesn't make too much difference. So here's where they intersect. And we either have clay loam or clay depending on where you are. So that is pretty bad. So we'll just have to keep working at it. I had hoped that we were a little bit lower, like maybe we had a better mix, but not really. All right, it is another day, and today's project is to clean up this area for a little bit of a spring garden. When we moved in September. I was super pregnant. We built this patio, and then it was winter. So since so much was happening at once, this area just sort of became a dumping ground. And so we need to get it cleaned up. The patio is a mess. There's old toys that sat out all winter. It's just not great. I have some gladiolus coming that are gonna go here, and I'm also going to put basil there. And I don't know what I'm gonna put in my green stalks yet this year. So I'm gonna get these all cleaned up and I'm gonna figure it out. Also, here are the winter sown jugs we did the other day. Nothing is sprouting yet. They all still have plenty of moisture. I know it's really hard to see, except this one was really dry. So I watered this one this morning. But yeah, I do wish I had labeled them on the outside of the jugs because I can't tell what anything is by looking in the top yet, so. One of my goals with this bed off to the side here is to get some more compost and soil mixed in there because it is just that clay that we have everywhere. So I brought some over from our compost pile, and then I'm going to use some leftover materials for the rest of it. So the first thing I did was just empty out everything from this small upright planter, and I'm going to get it all in there and just break everything up. Next, I'm just adding this leftover Happy Frog mix. I think this is actually from last year. So this is what was originally in there, and we grew in it for a year. So I'm just gonna add some more in there so that we can give it a little bit more nutrition and make sure it's not just waterlogged or packed down, because it did just sit outside pretty much all winter. Planter is finished. I still have no idea what I'm going to put in it. Maybe I'll actually have space this year to do some flowers. That would be nice. Got my compost there. Whatever extra I have, I'm going to just dump it here to make a little bit more, to make the soil just a little more conducive to growing anything. Now I'm moving on to the bigger green stalk, and I'm pretty much doing the same exact thing. I was going to spray out the green stalk because it was kind of gross in a couple places, but I'm not gonna lie, our water was turned off and getting the hose out was really complicated. So I'm just gonna hope that there's no crazy diseases and that my plants grow fine. So I'm gonna get it all mixed up. I added a little bit more of the Happy Frog to this as well. And then because I have so much extra left over, I can just pour it off into the side garden there. And then it is time to reassemble. I started putting this together in the corner here, and I realized that the patio is a little too slanted right there. So I scooted it over just a foot or two, and I think it's going to be perfect. Although I still don't know what I'm going to grow. Maybe some beans and some herbs, although I do have kind of a shade garden in the main crop garden. And so I want to put a lot of the herbs over there, like the cilantro, and maybe some lettuces. So I don't know, I'm still figuring it out. All right, it's looking a little bit better. I have everything reassembled. These two pots I emptied out. This one has an issue with the drainage. I don't know if the thing is just turned off, you know, you can twist the bottom, or if it's clogged. So, and I also don't know what I want to put in those, if anything. So I just left them empty, and I put all of the extra soil mix here because since I amended it a little bit, I ended up with way more than I needed. So this will be for this bed, and I'm going to come out here later with the cultivator and get this all mixed in. But kids need snacks and I can hear my baby waking up. So I'm going to wait to sweep everything off until I do the cultivator because it throws quite a bit of soil. It's probably my least favorite thing about it, even though I love it as a tool. And then I relocated all of our milk jugs over here so they get the most sun. Our sun rises like, well, it's right there, but you know, it kind of comes diagonal across our front yard here. So hopefully right here, these get the most sun and there's nothing really to shade them. All right, we will be back out in a little bit. And the last step of the whole day is I'm going to take this cultivator and just kind of mix everything in over here a little bit. I just go down until I can see that it's pulling up some clay, and that's good enough for me. This is the Ego electric, I don't know exactly what it's called, but the brand is Ego and it's an electric cultivator. It is quite heavy. It doesn't look, it is a little bit harder to operate than it looks in this picture or in this video, but it's a nice tool, and we've been going through the garden with it as well. I think I do prefer this to a big tiller because the big tiller is just so much to push around. But this thing is a nifty little tool, and it has a pretty good charge life on it as well. So I've been impressed. All right, everyone, that is it for this video. I'm actually about to go start seeds after I finish editing this, so that will be in the next video. I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.